There.
This is who I sent to Paul the.
Oh, okay, let me look. Yeah, ID.
What's that?
All right. I'll call the meeting to order. Statement of public notice. Hereby provided our written notice and the agenda of public meeting as stated below. There is an opportunity for public comment as noted on the agenda upon recognition by the presiding officer. Roll call. We have Anton online. Jerry. I was asking, are you representing the board? Okay. Okay, John Bringhofer, Mary
Tyson.
Tyson. And Teresa is present at the meeting. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Adoption of the agenda. Anyone want to make a motion to adopt the agenda? All right,
I'll move to adopt the.
Go ahead, Anton.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes, 9/27. I will make a motion to approve the agenda from the 9/27 Technology Committee meeting.
The minutes.
Oh, didn't I?
No, we said.
Did I say the agenda?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry, I'm still a little winded. I just cleared my driveway just before I came here. Let's try that again. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the Technology Committee meeting from 9/27. Have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments. Does anybody want to make any comments for any item that is not on the agenda?
Should we put a thing
Tim
in here for the
Whiteside.
budget?
Oh,
We can't add to the agenda.
hey, John, so I talked to Tim Whiteside. He was gonna be here for this meeting. But he is delayed, his flight is delayed, so he's not gonna be on Zoom or anything for this meeting. So I don't know if there's things we want to talk to him about, if we want to move it to the next meeting, or if there's things we can ask him. Aside from the meeting, whatever you want to do. I just want you to know he won't be here.
You want to just reschedule that for the next meeting?
We can. It's the OneDrive was the main thing.
Yeah, I think it's probably, I don't know if it's. Because the main question we had was. What would it take to, is that where we're going to discuss what it would take to move
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Gmail or from Google Drive to OneDrive? Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to do before that, so
There's no deadlines driving it, right?
no.
Discussion.
Well, he wanted to talk to you about that. We also asked him to speak to about having laptops for individual board members too.
Yeah,
And the issues involved in that, so that the technology committee would be aware of what that would mean.
yeah, I think that'd be best to just reschedule that. That's hard to just send questions ahead of time.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So. Oh, Joel Skinner has also joined. Hi, Joel.
I didn't hear. Understand what he
All right,
said.
I didn't hear
so
that either.
OneDrive and the explore pros and cons of town. Do we want to? Well, let's wait till we get to them.
Yep,
We'll work through the ongoing items and then just reschedule for next week, the ones that
Okay,
make sense.
okay.
Disaster recovery cloud backup, final update. Do we have a final update?
I think that's him too.
I'm thinking you're right. So,
It's gonna be a short meeting.
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll carry that to next meeting. Google Drive standards, document revision. I put together some documentation, and the more I read it, the more it looked like documentation for document management professionals that are intimately aware of how all this stuff works,
Mhm.
which to me is not good for the audience that we really need to be able to direct it to. So I was actually wondering if, as I see Mary, if you could help me
Sure.
kind of as a subcommittee to come up with a human, normal person version.
Easy to follow. Yeah.
And I do think where I was going with it will be applicable for OneDrive as well. But there's assuming we do switch to OneDrive, if we go that route, there will be some significant additions to it because of some additional capabilities that we have. But I really struggle to have it something, I'm like reading through these directions going, a normal person that doesn't work with documents on a regular basis is going to just be confused. And so this is harder than I expected.
And she knows how hard
I
it
know.
is.
Well, and I'll be honest, because I'm used to writing this kind of material for people that this is what they do for a living. So it's a much different audience. Okay. Unless Joel or Anton, you'd like to take a shot at it.
I am not a public life professional, certainly not the time. I'll let you talk now.
I said, Joel, you are really loud.
Yeah, Julia, can you back off from your microphone just a little bit?
If
Yes.
you want me to,
Oh, much
if you'd
better.
like me to take a pass over it, I could certainly do that. But I'm fine with letting you and Mary work on it, and then if you want me to look at it after that, that would be great too.
Sounds good.
That'd probably be best.
Oh, you're breaking up a lot.
Yeah, now you're just breaking up.
Would
real
you
bad.
tell him again that his microphone is not good? Does he want to stop
Yeah.
and come back on?
He's on mute, so somehow.
Well,
No, he was-
He unmuted. Joel, yeah, we're having a really hard time hearing you, Joel. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to plug some headphones in. I'll back off of them.
That worked well.
Yeah, that was better.
Whatever you just did, that works. Did you have a comment? Yeah, you're back to breaking up really bad. Sorry. All right, we'll just continue on the agenda here, I think. OneDrive, we will move that to next month.
Mhm.
And just a reminder for everybody, one of the key reasons that we really want to look at OneDrive is if you're using Microsoft Word, which all of our material ultimately needs to be in Microsoft Word. If you're using OneDrive and you're having multiple people author it, it actually keeps track of it. And even if they're editing at the same time. So we won't have the nightmare cleanup process, hopefully, that we've been running into with.
Well, and she's dealing with another one that's going to be just as bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad already. It's getting
So
worse.
in theory, OneDrive will be a significant step forward with that and should avoid, having to try and merge multiple versions. So that's why we're trying to find out what the implications are of switching to from Google Drive to OneDrive. Because it won't be that's not an insignificant change, so we want to make sure that we've talked to the appropriate folks to make sure we know how that cost and implications of that. So we'll carry that over. Town website update. Training. Well, let's start with consulting. Take it a little bit out of order, but have we, I guess, given that we made it through the election cycle, and we don't have a runoff. That's your plan.
Or an audit. Yes. I'm glad.
Have you had any luck getting info for potential consulting engagement with them to help with some of the things we wanted to do?
I have talked with, I can't remember her name right now, but I have talked with somebody who works for Civic Plus. As far as getting, help and consulting and that type of thing. There's one thing that I've been getting a lot of information from a different website provider.
I want you to speak into this so they can hear it.
Which is making it, I don't know, it seems like it's a lot simpler of a website to use as far as inputting things and updating things, and it's kind of made me put a little bit more of a halt on talking to Civic Plus. Civic Plus, it's just really, this website's really difficult to work with, I think. It's just, there's too much to it, but I don't know if that's something we want to talk about at some point. I don't know.
And what's the new one again?
The other one is Town Web, which is, it's a lot. I mean, it's not so simple that it's so basic, but it seems like it's a lot easier to work with. And I know a lot of the other towns around us use it as well. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say about the website. I know who to talk to get training and consulting and to get information. I know all of that. I just don't really care for their interface at all.
I kind of feel like maybe we need to take a step back and figure out, what do we really want out of the website? What is our goal for what information is available there? Who does the updates and so forth? And then we can use that as sort of a requirements analysis against Town Web versus Civic Plus. If
Yeah.
you'd like to, if the town would like to consider switching, because it sounds like, from your point of view, at least Town Web is a lot easier.
Have you been
Mhm.
using Town Web at all? Have they given you a demo version to practice and try and do stuff with?
No, I don't have a
Okay.
version of it. I've just
So-
gotten a lot of information from them about it.
And she's talked to other clerks in the area. If you go on, I suggest everyone go online and look at other websites for the town of Troy, the town of Hudson, the town of Somerset, town of Star Prairie, pick them, town of Richmond, town of Warren. Start picking them out and just taking a look at what they do, because I think it's interesting, and I'm not saying that I'm against Civic Plus in any which way, but I find it, having worked in a facility here that has Civic Plus and one that had Town Web, I can tell you this Civic Plus is a lot more non-user friendly, but also more difficult to navigate when you know nothing than Town Web is. Now, do they each have their problems? Absolutely.
Mhm.
They're none, and neither one is perfect.
So
What
it kind of
are-
goes back, I was gonna say, kind of goes back to what Anton said. What are the key things you want to be able to do? Because I hate
Yes.
to go something simpler and find out you lost capabilities, right?
Right.
And quite frankly, usually even Outlook, even Google, everything's always hard when you're first starting out,
Mhm.
right? It always is.
Yep.
And then some things are still friendlier than others, because they should both be making upgrades all the time to make things simpler. It's really, what do we want to do? Because
Right.
sometimes when they're really sophisticated, it's, it's just like your phone. If you got a super fancy phone, you don't even know what half the buttons are for sometimes, right?
And it always looks easier in the demo.
Mhm. Oh, and salespeople are always good.
Yeah.
They're clicking and they look good. And the demo is always good.
Well, and she does have experience with websites, so it's not like this is all new to her.
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
She didn't say that to you, but I wanted to say that.
So,
for
Okay,
her.
yeah, but
What are a couple of towns that we know are using Town Web?
I know.
I think most of those
Somerset.
that I just
Yeah,
listed.
town of Somerset for sure. I've talked
Oh.
with her about the website
Okay.
too.
Well, and there's definitely, it'd be good to know kind of the local community because
They can help
you
each
can
other.
help each other.
Yeah,
Do you know if any of the nearby towns are using Civic Plus?
I don't think so.
Okay. So that at least suggests to me that we should probably evaluate whether we're on the right track. Do we need approval of the board to look into it, or should we look into
No.
it?
You can
And
look
then-
into it. You can't, I
Move
mean, you
forward
can look
with-
into it and recommend to the board that they take a look at this if you come to some place you want to say that.
Okay, so for next month's agenda, let's
I can bring in info on both.
yeah, well, I'd say the most important thing I think to have would be, here's what we're looking for from our town website.
Okay,
So we have some kind of criteria to kind of compare.
Do you know what he means by that? It's like on a daily basis, what are you doing with the website? What are we trying to post? Like you said, you've worked on other ones. So what are the features and functionality that you need and where you need from a website? You know, because I'm sure they both have extra stuff that we don't need, but
There's a
what's the
lot, yeah.
primary stuff that you need?
okay, I will do that.
And I think the other thing is, what do we want to do on the website that we haven't, because either it's
Right.
too
Yep.
complicated or it's not available.
Yeah,
So we should all be doing a
we
little
haven't
bit
had
of that, right? Not just her.
Yeah, I think you should all look into it
Yep, we should all
Yeah.
bring a list of, here's
Yeah.
some things that we need.
Okay,
after you look at others.
Yep.
Mhm.
okay,
So that's an action item for all of us, actually, then.
yep. And then, Terry, if you do have some comparison stuff, we can each look at them on our own as well, but it would probably
Okay.
be, if you've got some stuff handy, it'd be good to
I
put
could
that
put it
in our
the drive.
packet.
Okay,
Just so we at least all have a same baseline.
okay,
So that covers training and consulting, because until we resolve that, those two aren't terribly relevant, with the caveat of the next bullet, uploading recordings. Is uploading recordings something that we can easily start doing in Civic Plus, or is that,
No.
Have we asked?
I am not sure,
okay,
So we have to ask.
but I know I think I've seen some of the other towns or villages websites with the other one, that I know that they can put stuff on there.
mhm.
And I'm sure I can with Civic Plus, I just don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, I guess the question would be, do we want to try and
We want to learn
move that
yet?
forward now? Because if we switch, it's not like that's gonna happen in a month.
No.
Mm-mm.
And I will say that I did talk to Tim Whiteside about uploading recordings to YouTube.
Mhm.
And he said, absolutely, do not do that. You lose your control over the recording.
They own it.
People can now distribute it on YouTube in a way that is detrimental to the town.
Yeah,
At least if it is on your website, you can control whether it can be downloaded or not.
Mhm.
So you can some websites allow you to put the recording on and it's view only. You can't
Oh, sure.
download it. You can't change it.
Mhm.
You can't make it sound like someone said no when they said yes. But he said anything
Sounds
on
good.
anything on YouTube, he said once you're there, you have no control.
Sounds like another requirement for the website.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying that to you guys is that I did talk to him about that somewhat in passing when I ran into him and he goes, oh no, do not do that.
okay. Then I'm gonna go back to
You can upload stuff. I just Googled
Oh, you-
it. The directions are right here.
you can,
Live and recorded with,
it's-
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not difficult. Oh, you're talking Civic Plus.
Yep.
Yeah, I know,
I'm sure
she
you
knows that
can.
you can,
Yeah,
she
I know you
just hasn't
can.
had a chance to get there.
So to me, that's still probably worth pursuing in Civic Plus.
The
If we
board has
can.
not made a decision yet on that, so it's up to you guys to recommend if that's a decision you want to go with.
And I'm trying to, and I'm thinking maybe now is the time to,
Nice job.
well, here's why it's got a chicken and the egg problem. Should we make sure we are capable of doing it before we ask the board if we should do it? I think we
Right.
probably need to do that first. So make
That's really
sure,
what the board wanted you to do, is to figure out how it can be done.
yeah,
What kind of time is involved in it,
Right.
et cetera, and then come back to the board with a recommendation.
yep. And we need to see if our current Civic Plus license includes that.
Right.
That's
So-
another question.
I'd still like to do that, even if we may be switching to
Mhm.
move that forward. Otherwise, we'll be looking at our first snow of next winter and
Well, so do we, now
still
that,
dealing with.
so is it just, now the elections and stuff are done, do we just need to schedule time and walk through it?
Well, she has to get through budget yet, so she's not through tax stuff yet.
In January or,
Until the end of December, there is no time in that office.
okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know that anybody, I mean, I can look at the directions, I see this, but I don't have any recording to upload or anything, right?
Well, it's one thing to download, but can you lock them down? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Would it make sense to set like Mary up with an account for the town for Civic Plus to be able to do that? To kind of experiment with it? Either myself or Mary would, or anybody else for that
Well,
matter.
Let her figure this out towards the end of the month and see where she's at.
Okay. Okay, so we will,
John? Citizen comment, please.
yeah, Darla, go ahead.
Just a reminder, last month Lori was going to do a lot of research. And I don't know if she's talked to Terry about that. I don't know what she discovered, but she was pretty confident that she was going to be able to come back with all the information that seems to be going over again here. And so I have just a simple question for Teresa and the whole YouTube situation. Why do all the other government organizations upload to YouTube?
I did not ask him that. I asked him simply, if we upload to YouTube, what are the pros and cons? And that's what he told me. So we'll get a chance to ask him that next month when he's here again.
Okay, so that's a question that still needs to be asked. I just, it boggles my mind that this is a potential security issue when so many other government organizations upload to YouTube. So why did they do it and we shouldn't, is my question. And I wanted to bring up about Lori. She was going to do all that work last month.
Yeah, so Terry, definitely worth reaching out to Lori and see if she discarded, because I know she does have an account on the,
So that's a good call
On the
out,
website,
Darla,
so-
I forgot,
yeah.
Lori, she's not here.
Yeah, thank you.
So she could have been able to give an update, okay.
Policy for forms and mailing list. I don't remember what we were gonna be doing on that.
I think that was on there because the website has some difficulty in that the forms are not consistent as to where they are and how to access them. I know that Terry's worked on that to get them in a better place so that they're all together where they need to be. So I know she did work on that. I don't know how far along you're on that, but did you get through all those forms? Because I know you went through all the zoning and the subdivision forms and
Yeah.
all that. So I think she's in a pretty good place, but the problem on the website is you can load them in more than one place.
Mhm.
Yep, that's the biggest
So
problem.
you can load them here, but they don't show up there unless you load them there too. And then there's, so it's been kind of a,
Yeah, because I'm working on, the forms I think are pretty in good shape. I'm working on getting all the new ordinances on there. And then if you do that, then you have to have a link over here. And it's a whole thing.
Which goes back to the thing we talked about at the beginning is it's a tedious and
Yeah.
difficult.
There's
Yeah.
just too many places, I think, to upload and put things. And then people will still tell me that they can't find it.
We love
The
that.
thing. Mhm.
And we did have a note in the minutes from the last meeting that says Anton will look into this and present at the
Oh,
next
you
meeting.
I'm good.
Oh, I want you.
I wasn't here, sorry. So that was part of the minutes from last week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to, and I'm afraid that I'm not ready this time around. Oh, am I muted still?
Nope, you're on.
nope, we heard that.
Okay.
No problem.
But I can have something for the next time.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, what was
Nothing,
that?
it's okay.
So we will
What was
carry that forward.
What was that for the broadband?
What was that that you're carrying forward?
I'm sorry. I missed it.
The policy forms and mailing list.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Anton will give a report next week or next
Okay,
Yep.
meeting.
thank you.
And that's really the policy of how we'll manage and
Oh, and I should say one more thing that I almost forgot. At the WTA meeting that I was at, and I informed Terry, your website is considered a site that can have public records requested off of it.
Mhm.
So the WTA is highly recommending that no one have access to that website besides the clerks themselves. Because anyone else on the website makes for difficulty when it comes to public record, because it's something getting changed. Is something, being moved around, at least if the clerk is doing it, she knows what she did.
Mhm.
And she's not trying to track what someone else is doing. So they say that that is a public record site. And things can be requested as a public record off of it. And that kind of changes that game plan on the website a little bit.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of places that let others download and put things on it. Now you can't do that.
Mhm.
That also, why I say this about the recordings is that's one thing that was brought up too, is that recordings on your website, if you're downloading a recording on the website, you've got to lock it down so no one can change it.
Mhm.
Because that's your public record.
Yep.
That actually possibly suggests anything on the website.
Yes, you're right, Anton, anything,
Yep.
but for sure it applies. I mean, that all just came out this last meeting. I was like, oh geez, now we got to worry about that.
Can a section of the website be considered public records?
The whole thing is. According
Yeah.
to the WTA, it is all part of public record. From the logo down to the photos, down to anything you put on it. The only thing is the background program that you don't own. Isn't, like the
Sure.
Civic Plus or Town Web, whatever it would be, that's not something you own.
Right.
But
The underlying
everything you-
framework's not public record,
everything
but
you
all of the
put on it.
content.
Yeah, all the content.
That just makes it more fun.
Of course.
Broadband. Terry, did you send the broadband info out to everybody?
Because I didn't see this. Is this on the Google? How did this go?
I don't, it's not on the Google Drive.
It's not.
No.
Oh, then
So
I
we may
haven't
carry
looked
that
at it.
to next one. So
I apologize.
the state of Wisconsin is kind of updated their rural broadband analysis, I think would be the best way to
Okay.
put it. So it's the foundational document that they use when they're evaluating requests for state funding for broadband stuff, if you will. Justin provided the updated information, so we'll get that in the Google Drive for next month, so people
Okay.
can take a look at it. Because I don't know that there's not a lot of, there's no real action for us to take. It's something for us to be aware of.
And he sent an email just like about 20 minutes ago about the broadband.
Yeah,
He wants the FCC map on the website. And I'm not sure how to put that on there. It's kind of an interactive map.
you could just put the link.
You have
Yeah,
to just do the
so-
link.
Yeah,
You can't do,
And
if you don't
where,
own
I
it,
don't
you
know.
can't, just have to do the link.
Yeah, if you don't own it, you can't put it on there. So you could put the link to it on there.
Yeah, so. And then he sent a whole like email, so I don't know if you guys want me to put that on the drive.
did he send the email to everybody or just to you?
He sent it to me and the.
Why don't you
board.
just read it?
Want me to read it?
Yeah,
It's a long one.
that's okay.
All right, so this is from Justin. And he says, I was trying to get this drafted out before the meeting tonight for technology committee. But he's behind. Here is what I'm hoping can get a hot take on our website. Is that there is a new FCC broadband map that changes how ISP. Internet service providers are required by law to report. The big change is that the old model for reporting broadband access was that if the ISP provided service to one location inside a zip code, any other residents inside that, then the map assumed that all residents inside that zip were served by that ISP.
Oh,
Well, that's kind of stupid.
yeah.
Yeah. In the new
So that's a
map.
good change.
Yeah, in the new map, all providers were required to provide address ranges that they could. I don't know, server based on street to street. I don't know what that means. This is very important for two big reasons. First, many residents who may be new to our area should be able to use this map as a non-corporate sponsored to know what services are available in our community. The second is to make sure we hold all ISPs accountable, meaning that this map is currently not vetted by the community, actual consumers. So there is a process created by the FCC to give the government entity to get feedback from the consumer. We, as a small government, want to encourage this because it will make our residents more informed of all their opportunities. And this will also be used to define if we qualify for future grants in this space.
Yep.
Whether it's making improvements or grant full access to fiber to every home. I do not know what future the technology will bring. Maybe we find a better thing than fiber. Light is hard to beat, but we are amazing inventors. But this will be a determining factor. On our site, I think we should do something very similar to how we post the waste service to our residents. And we should add that if you see something is inaccurate, that they provide that feedback. And then he put the two links. He said how to read or use the map. He put like a help center link and then the actual map
Oh, good.
link.
I think that would be great.
And I'll send this to you guys.
I'm just trying to think of where on the website would be a good place to.
Well,
put
we have a place on the website, John, where we do all of our providers like garbage.
Oh, sure.
We have two electrical companies that serve the town. We have
Services.
services,
It's under
yeah,
the services tab.
yeah. And then we could put something in the banner on the front of it that says, please go there and take a look and, enter. Or however we want to say that.
We have refuse, garbage, recycling, animal control, farms, permits, document center and roads. We don't have anything for broadband. It would make sense to add broadband to the services.
Broadband internet there.
Drop
That'd be
down.
Great.
And then that would be a place where we could link it as well. More work for Terry on the website. I'm assuming we don't need town board approval to add that to the services on the website, or should we make that as a recommendation?
I would make that as a recommendation.
Okay,
Yeah.
anybody like to make a motion? I
I'll
can.
move to,
Okay.
I'll move to recommend that the town board ask the clerk to add broadband to the utilities listed on the website.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then I think, Terry, if you can just maybe save that email and drop it in the Google Drive.
I will. I sent it to all you guys too, so you'll have it.
Sounds good.
I'll send you both, so you have them both.
Perfect.
Okay?
So I punched my address in here.
Explore. Oh, any more discussion on broadband?
I said, I punched my address in and for the whole time we've been talking, it's still searching. See how that works.
It's like, I'm not sure you're in Wisconsin. You must be from somewhere else. Explore pros and cons of the town board members receiving a work laptop, liability maintenance costs, as well as other options besides a laptop. So this would be a discussion we do want to have
With Tim.
next month as well.
Yeah.
I think are some things. I'd like to just ask of what would the intent be? Is it for them to work with the website and with the documents as a way to?
Well, this is brought forth by Lori. She wants to know if we would be willing to, provide this to the board members. All of us are using our personal computers.
Mhm.
I don't have any public records on mine that aren't part of what's already in the office. So, or that's something I've downloaded off the WTA, for instance. I don't do that on my own laptop. But if you have a town-owned laptop or device,
Mhm.
you can't do anything else on it either. Right.
Yep. Right.
So, and since we already have town emails, those emails are great because we don't have to worry about, in the old days, you had your personal email. Now you got to download everything off your email and put it on a flash drive
Mhm.
every year and hand it into the clerk's office. Well, now you don't have to do that because you have your own email. I don't know, I'm ambivalent about it because I think it's a cost to the town every 4 years or every 5 years at most, you're replacing these,
Yep.
whatever they are.
Well, and the
And
interesting thing.
we just got into replacing computers in this office because they're maxed out. And in fact, Michelle's came close to crashing because she's at the max of the max of the max. So she has a brand new one. I don't think you two have your new ones yet, but you're
Mhm.
close. He's ordered them and the board approved those because we can't go on this way. And what we had in the office was basic Dells that did not have a lot of memory on them.
Mhm.
And hers was crashing and burning. Tim saved it, but she had only a couple weeks on it before he got it replaced because he said, this is not lasting.
Mhm.
You're in big trouble. And they were bought in 16, I think.
Mhm.
So they're 6 years old,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
but they're desktops.
That's vintage.
I know. But that's another cost to
Yep.
the town. And, we've just replaced all 3 of those. And we've got 1, 2, 3 laptops plus the laptop in the fire department. So those you're going to be replacing periodically, probably this one, not as much
Mhm.
because you're not doing anything with that except running a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
So hopefully that one can continue on for a while, but the other ones will have to be replaced. So I'm thinking about that cost.
Well, and one of the things, and the reason I was trying to get an idea of what would be the use of the actual device, because it gets down to what should it be it could be a normal Windows laptop, it could be a Chromebook, it could be a Android tablet, it could be an Apple tablet. And there's pros and cons to every one of those devices, both in terms of capability, ease of use, and supportability.
Mhm.
Because town clerk will be the support person. So if we do, in my view, if we did go with something other than a standard Windows laptop that's more or less similar to what the clerk uses, we'd also need to get one of those devices for the clerk to be able to be proficient and support the town board as well.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So again, just things to keep in mind, because you know, if somebody calls Terry and says, I'm having trouble,
Mhm.
and they have an iPad instead of a Windows, and Terry's going, well, I don't have one, so I don't know how to help you. That's not gonna go well either.
Well, and it's not gonna be her. It's gonna have to be Tim Whiteside that's gonna have to work on it. And I think the other thing you have to think about
Oh,
is,
well, they,
what do you do with a board member who doesn't want one? Now you're gonna have a laptop or whatever sitting here for 2 years,
Yep,
unused, until it's farmed out to the next person, or if that person is reelected for 2 more years, then they're not doing it. I mean, now it's 4 years old. You bought it and you've now, so, you know, now you gotta buy another one.
So again, I think this comes down to, we need to figure out what the requirements are.
yeah,
What, you know, what's there's the pros and cons, but you know, what would these devices be used for? And I think one of the biggest arguments against using a personal device is when you have something like ransomware or something that gets in on a personal device, once it's connected to the town network, that can spread.
You're right.
Spot on.
well. And yeah, so that's the interesting part of that though, is would do town boards, private personal computers get to connect to the network, or do they
Yes.
connect to guests?
No, they're on the
Exactly.
guest. They're on the guest,
Yeah,
but the guest network now is closed, so you just can't get on the guests by coming in the parking lot.
right. So we've,
But I think, Tim's got some firewalls set up for that.
yep. Yeah, so. Yeah, it really gets into what
What would these be used for?
Yeah, what would they be used for? What
Email.
problem are we trying to
exactly.
solve?
That's what are we trying to solve?
Because right now, and that's because Tim can't help us if we don't know that. But I mean, he can tell us kind of the pros and cons of the different platforms.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, I think there's, what problem are you trying to solve and exactly which one and what are they gonna be used for? And also then that defines what options you have. And it may not
Yep.
be a physical laptop. There are other options too, right?
Yep.
Once we figure out what problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Yep.
Darla, your hand is up. Is this from before? Or do you have another comment that you
No,
like?
I have another thing when, it's, I
ahead.
see Lori got on. I won't speak for Lori, but the reason that I wanted the board members to have their computer through the town is because I had to go out and buy a new computer when I came on board, because I also had to pay extra for Outlook out of my own pocket because I didn't have that on the machine. So that was something. And Anton, you just said exactly what I was gonna say about ransomware and all the other viruses. I mean, if we're concerned about uploading meetings to YouTube, I was always concerned about every time I got on myself. You know, even though I have Norton and all those other protections, I mean, I would think we got enough spam in our town accounts to know that there were a lot of scammers, hackers, the whole thing on there. And, you know, that can come this way too. So that's what I was going to say.
So the primary thing I'm hearing is that you mostly was getting Outlook and looking at Outlook, and then you need to have ability to do that, right?
Well, yeah, but I had to buy a new computer too, because
No,
mine,
the
oh,
reason
sorry.
sometimes you can sign on, there's things called virtual devices, so it's like you sign in and then you have like your own version of a computer. It's not a physical laptop. So that's why I said, if we understand a little bit better about what it is that you need to do and what capabilities and functionality that the board members need, then potentially it may not be a physical laptop. Or you sign in, but once you sign in, you actually go to a site and you've got your own personal entrance into this. I know there's just different options out there. So the fact that you had to buy Outlook, that's true. That's a cost to you that you wouldn't have had to do normally. And other probably Microsoft products, but those are the things we just kind of need to spell out. What are the things that you need in order to do your job as the town
Oh,
board
yeah,
person?
and I didn't have enough RAM, you know, to download the documents and stuff like that, so I was probably due anyway, but anyway, Lori can weigh in.
Hi, Lori. You're on mute. We happen to be on the agenda item, explore pros and cons of the town board members, and the other person, Star. No, Tim can't be here, but we're still doing the conversation about pros and cons. And we can't hear you.
If you're talking, Laurie, we can't hear you. Sorry.
She's trying to
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I have supported the town providing some type of computer type device since I first was on, so for many, many years. And again, my concerns is that computer then would follow the position, and probably all of these things have been stated, but therefore all of the history and the records would follow that laptop as well, as opposed to anything that could be on a personal computer. Now, granted, the argument could be made that says, well, there's nothing to stop them from logging onto the Google Drive and downloading it on their own computer. Well, that's probably true. I don't have the solution for that scenario, but again, I do feel since the devices could be a matter of public record, I think they should be treated as such.
Yeah, that to me seems like the biggest thing is, if I'm on town board and I'm using my personal laptop and somebody wants to do a public records request, now basically my personal laptop becomes discoverable, if you will, because I've been using it for town business.
Well, it's only discoverable if you have not shared everything that you've done for the town with the clerk's office.
Yeah,
How do
but
they know that without taking in?
Yeah.
right.
So again, it kind of, it puts you in a position where your personal laptop may get taken.
Yeah.
Because it was used for town
Town
business
Yep.
to verify that you didn't keep your
Oh, I know.
secret private file.
Nice Ride is at risk of ending in Minneapolis. The main sponsor for the bike and scooter share program backed out starting next year. Results here.
Would it necessarily need to be an all or nothing? And so could
Well-
we offer to the board members that want to use, that don't want to use their personal device?
That's a good question, because how do you adjust that with a board member who's not using that device? Are you going to make it mandatory because they all have to use them? Because if it's not mandatory, then you have some board members getting a benefit that others are not. And that has to get recognized.
though, right? They're choosing if they want to use it. or
I
not.
know, but this is a governmental, this is different than business. And
Well,
we'll have to check on that before I can say yes or no. I
Yeah.
don't know the answer to that.
I can tell you, most businesses would say, we're going to give you a device and you will use it. That's from a business perspective, there's very
Absolutely.
a few are starting to do the bring your own device, but all that device can do is kind of what Mary was touching on, is you can remotely connect to a computer somewhere else and you do everything on that computer. So your device is really just a screen and keyboard.
And that's something to look into.
Yeah, but that would still require them to have some kind of device that can support
Yeah.
that. And I don't know that you necessarily want to say that it's a requirement to be on town board to have a,
I know.
have a, some kind of a laptop computer.
But that's something we have to look into.
Yeah,
I'd like to weigh in.
sure, go ahead.
So unless we're arguing because we're opposed to making the purchase, I would say that the first thing that needs to happen is if the device is available to the town board member and they choose not to use it, I think that's a totally separate argument outside of whether or not the town should purchase them and have them. I also would beg to differ that your personal devices are not subject to public scrutiny. And one of the things that this came up with is in regard to when it was the argument was made that the zoning administrator should have his own phone. It was one of the things that it was said to take. So his personal phone was not being used to conduct all this town business because of the volume of business that he's doing. So I was going to say I need some pretty hard and fast reasons to not have a device assigned to the individual members of the town board. And like I said, if we have them available and they choose not to use them, or the clerk's office chooses not to have them set up and ready for them to go at the meeting to be used at that time, that's a different conversation.
Well, it is and it isn't, because it's still knowing if I would still think from a technology committee in a recommendation that we would make, we would either make a recommendation to make them available as an option or make them available and required for all town business. We would include that in our recommendation. Because I would expect the town, I mean, the town, I would, if I were on the board, I would at least want that recommendation. The board can do whatever they want, but from a technology committee, we would want to at least consider that and provide our guidance.
My point being is in the past that we have had town board members that choose not to use computers at the meetings or I have no idea, of course, what they're using at home. But I don't think that I don't think that that's a viable reason entering into the decision of whether or not to buy laptop or whatever device is decided for the town board.
I want to know what your statement meant that the clerk would have them ready for a meeting.
I'm meaning that they'd be sitting on the table and available for them to use if they wish to use them.
So the clerk would be, this would not be a device they would take home, that she would be responsible for storage and.
No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have a person that says that they don't want to have one, but if they're going to be using one at the town board meeting, they're going to be using the town one at the town board meeting, not their own personal devices. So they will be available whether they take them home or not.
Oh.
So no, do not misconstrue that statement, please.
Yeah, I guess until we.
I know.
I'm gonna go.
Do you have
back
more to say to me, Teresa?
Well,
No, I just was concerned about the ability of the clerk to have these devices ready for every meeting of people who are not taking them home. I just was unclear about that.
yeah,
So you're talking about more than 5 board members?
No.
Mm-mm.
I'm talking
Okay,
about board members.
All right. No, it is not
If it's assigned to a board member, it should be assigned to them. They should just, that's their responsibility. If they don't want to use them, that's still, they can bring it back and forth every time. I mean, I don't just, for what I'm hearing, how would, if you're a board member and don't you have to use it to see stuff on the Google Drive? Or get your email or
That's
the
correct.
agenda or anything? I mean, you have to, right?
yeah. Darla, I see you have your hand up.
Well, what do the other municipalities do? I mean, you look at the village of North Hudson, they've got all the town village computers there. It's not their personal computers. The county is the same way. I don't know what the village or
City of Hudson is.
yeah, City of Hudson has theirs too. I'm not sure about the other ones, but obviously it's out there. All we have to do is find out what they're doing.
Well, we don't have to follow them. That's not a requirement. But we need to
No,
know
but
is
it's
what is
being
it?
done. It would be easy to research.
Yep. Yep. That's,
Yep, so we'll carry this forward next month with Tim as well to get the or something. Now does
By the
Tim-
time Tim comes, we probably should have a list of what we want to use them for though.
right, agreed, as well as what if it would help to actually talk to, who would we talk to at the other places?
well,
From a pros and cons standpoint, they would actually have some good insight.
Probably the chair and or the clerk.
of
What? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Who would they talk to? It would be, the clerk would be the one at the village or the city. At the county, they have a whole IT department, so I don't know who that would be.
well, and I'd be more inclined to look at cities because counties are kind of a whole different beast.
Yeah.
Could I ask if we were gonna research it with the people that are currently using them? What would you expect to obtain for information or recommendations from them? What do you think that you're gonna get? I'm just curious.
What questions would you ask?
Yeah,
Is that what you, kind of like are they using notebooks? Are they using laptops? How big are they? What's their primary? Are they using it just for Outlook? Do they download, upload? Do they sign on to that? What are they using it for? You know, because that will help decide if we're gonna buy laptops or notebooks or whatever device, what are the pros and cons? Do you make sure all of them have Microsoft on them, or do they have to have Firefox or something? What are the things that people are using and what are the problems? Probably one of the things you'll find is people forget their passwords or something like that, or they're not connecting. So what are the problems they're running into? Because we have no idea. Because
okay.
once you put them out there, you got to know how best to avoid those problems. That would be ideal, and or support them.
Yeah, you know, Terry, that'd be a good idea to reach out to the clerks to see what kind of support they're providing. That'll be very telling.
And just, you can leave it open-ended. So tell me, you know, what are the 3 biggest things that people complain about or, you know, that kind of stuff? Because those are the support things that would come back to you too, right?
Mhm.
And because from what I'm hearing, you don't need anything big. You don't need a huge laptop. And sometimes there's a lot of people in the world live on iPads, you know, so what are they using? Because we'd want something standard, probably doesn't need to be that big.
Well, and we'd need to
Then the
know,
cost goes down, right? If you don't need to have a big laptop, the cost goes down. They're not going to be doing all the work that you guys are doing in the office.
Right.
If they're just checking emails mostly and trying to see what's on one of our drives, that doesn't take much from a cost standpoint.
But
Well-
since there's only 2 entities to call, maybe one of you could make those calls on that and ask those questions
Some of them,
instead
sure.
of dumping it on her. Because I just don't know if you're gonna get those answers before next meeting with what else she has to do off of this agenda.
and that's fine.
It would just be the village and the city.
City of Hudson.
City of Hudson, Village of North Hudson is the 2 that were mentioned.
Can you provide names and then? we
Yeah, she
could-
can do that.
Yeah, if you could give me the name, I could call
Hudson.
City of Hudson, Village of North Hudson.
Okay, gotcha.
Call or email.
them. I know, for example, in planning commission, we work quite a bit with large documents. We're editing and we're creating and does the board do any of that, or is that generally done by committee and the board generally just reviews?
Teresa definitely does quite a bit.
I do
And
some.
Lori
yeah,
does some.
Some, and I forward everything to her.
Okay. Because one of the comments that Darla made is hers didn't have enough memory for some of the larger documents.
Well,
Which,
I don't know. I replace my laptop every 3 to 4 years. That's just on my radar to do that. And I usually buy as much as I can get with whatever money I've allocated to it at the time.
Well, so let me ask a direct question, Teresa. If we decided as a town to buy laptops or make laptops, a town laptop an option, would you want to use that or would you use that?
I suppose if it's an option, I'm going to use it just because I don't have to use my own and put that wear and tear in and out, in and out, in and out. Because I carry my laptop usually 3 days a week outside of the house.
Mhm.
You know, I'd probably do that. Do I think? It depends on the device. That's what I'm gonna say to you.
Well, and one of the
Because if
reasons
you
I'm
go
asking,
Apple, I can tell you this, I'll be not happy.
well, we won't talk about that at this
Right,
point.
but you see what I'm
But-
saying?
Yeah,
Everybody has their
absolutely.
thing.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is if you would need a beefier laptop because you're actually working with some of these documents. I don't know that we'd want to say we have 2 tiers of
Right.
laptops.
Right,
I can't imagine us making that recommendation.
exactly.
So that then becomes the threshold that we would need to meet.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just asking is I know you do a lot of the same type of stuff that, you do some of the final edits
Yeah.
and some of the,
But do you
Uh,
download those or are you just doing those online on there? Are you
Well,
downloading?
no, for instance, that
Is that a
chapter-
practice we need to stop?
that
No,
chapter
when you open a
170,
Word document, it is loaded on your computer.
because on Google Drive, I had to download it and then start working on it, because I put about 12 hours into it before she got her hands on it. Because that comes back to that OneDrive Google Drive.
Right,
Well-
exactly. So if we're gonna go to a shared thing and it's all loaded somewhere else, you're not necessarily
Just-
downloading.
Right.
Well, the document's loaded somewhere else. It still loads into your computer's memory. When you're
Yes, and
working
that
with the
impacts-
document,
Right.
it's loaded onto into your memory.
So the memory has to
Storage
be
isn't
large.
an issue.
Right, okay.
The smallest storage you can get nowadays is huge.
Right. And I
It's-
think the biggest problem we find with Google Drive, as we've said, is that when you're doing a large document and you've got to download it, convert it into Word, and then reformat it, because of course, all the
Right.
formatting gets lost. It takes hours to do that.
Well, yeah,
Because then when I send it to her, it's in a Word doc that she can now work on to get it ready to go to county.
So maybe that's in the list of questions we ask the other places that too.
Yeah.
Maybe they do offer 2 tiers and we don't,
And there's a lot of places
or that's a
where,
problem that they run into.
because they have staff,
Mhm.
extensive staff does all of that,
mhm.
and the board members do none of it.
Yep. So questions that
Yeah, because towns are different.
yep. Well, and individuals are different. So you'll have some board members that want to get more hands-on and some that don't, much like in a normal business environment.
Exactly right.
Okay,
More questions?
Okay. I think we've probably talked about that about as much as we need to for this month, since we're going to be reviewing it again next month when Tim's here. Any more, does anybody else have anything more they want to say on that before we move on? All right, recommendations to the town board. We had the recommendation to add broadband to the town website.
Mhm.
I think that is our only recommendation for the town board.
John, I missed that part of the meeting. Can you tell me what add broadband to the website means?
Oh, yeah, we are recommending that we add, so on the town website, under services, we have refuse, garbage, recycling, animal control, forms and permits, document center and roads. We recommended adding broadband.
Okay,
as
good
well.
idea. All right, thank you.
Items for next agenda. I think we're pretty much carrying everything. there.
everything on there, everything on there.
And we're adding one additional, which is the looking at town web
Mhm.
as a potential
Well, how about if we just put websites?
replacement for the website.
Do that. Okay,
So everything on this plus one.
Are you gonna go over the budget or anything? It's not an agenda.
there's nothing new on that
Okay.
expenditures.
I did have a question on this.
Go ahead.
Oh, never mind. Duh. I answered it myself.
So Lori, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Next
What?
meeting, I'm not gonna look at the next meeting.
Well, she wasn't here for uploading recording, so she know she's on the agenda for that.
Say what?
You weren't, when we went through the agenda on uploading recordings,
To the
Wait.
website. You said you were gonna look into that? Did you have a chance to do that?
I haven't gotten any direction from the clerk's office or the town board chair for me to go forward to do anything to do with the website. And I have to be honest with you, if you're gonna reconsider another provider, is this the time to even be looking at further expansion of the website you have?
Well, and the one comment that we did make is if we do switch to a new software, that's not gonna happen quickly. And if it's relatively straightforward to upload the recordings under
Oops, sorry.
our current software, it might be worth doing because we'd be able to get that up sooner.
Yeah, that would make sense. And, the ability is there, and obviously you have the equipment around that it's likely that we have that capability that we didn't have before.
have you tried it?
I have not. I'm not in the website at all. I haven't been for several months.
Okay,
I'm not doing anything on the website. The only thing
Okay.
being done is coming out of the clerk's office, and I don't know what it is unless I stumble across it.
sounds good. All right, date of next meeting,
December 27th.
December 27th,
Yeah, is that a good day? After Christmas?
works for me. December 27th, work for everyone? For the next town meeting, or for the next town meeting, for the next technology committee meeting?
Good for me.
All right.
Check my calendar real quick here. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay,
Okay,
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I will second.
Second.
Oh, Anton got the second. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.